We are in the middle of the second half of the show. We thank all of our sponsors, Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul, and joining us right now on the StreamYard, Streamline, is Cedric Ceballos, all-star and former dunk champion, my friend. Thank you, Ced, for joining us on the block today. How you doing, my friend?
Oh, so great. Good to see you, bro.
Yes, man. Yes, man. It's been a busy week for you. There's a lot going on right now in the trade, the trade deadline. Have you seen the trade? Said, be honest now. You've been around it for a long time, working in organizations as well as working for organizations. Have you seen the trade deadline just this hectic and this crazy at this
Yeah,
time?
this last minute, I don't think it has been this many trades and functions going on. I think, especially the caliber of players. There's always some back room type of trades when it comes to picks, when it comes to players that are not really significant to your chances on winning right now. It's usually, towards down the line, but this has been crazy. And I mean, down to the last wire, 5 minutes to go before the deadline. They got trades going on. I mean, Gary Payton's the second got traded with, I think, 3 minutes left to go.
Wow. That's absolutely crazy. And see, I didn't even pick that up because we're on the show, but the Wild Wild West has become the Wild Wild West. Basically, the East shipped everything that's strong from that side of the Mississippi over to the western side of things. And there's three teams that you've happened to play for throughout your career, one that we shared together, and the Phoenix Suns as well as the Lakers. Let's start with the Dallas Mavericks. The Dallas Mavericks were able to acquire in a trade Kyrie Irving. Obviously, Luka Doncic has been injured at this point, so this trade definitely means something for the Dallas Mavericks. Obviously, what you were able to give up didn't kill you. I thought it was murder she wrote robbery, but at the end of the day, Kyrie did perform and allowed them to get a win with the Clippers last night. And so how do you view that trade for the Dallas Mavericks? Does it make sense? Does it help Luka? Does it make Luka want to stay a Maverick now that he's gotten some help like Kyrie Irving?
Yeah, I mean, it is murder she wrote if this summer doesn't work out for the Mavericks. I mean, you give up Dorian Finney-Smith, you signed him for a long-term deal, and he was so consistent. One of the more consistent defensive and offensive players that you had on your roster. When it comes to Dinwiddie, obviously he's going to be a road guy who's going to bounce because of the way he scores and how he can help project the team. They were expecting him to be a dominant number two all-star for that team, but that just did not happen from the days when he was in Brooklyn. So great job, for Brooklyn getting him back in a situation. Obviously, you got him back for cheaper too as well. But with Kyrie Irving, obviously, the best ball handler in the game, so dynamic, can get you shots. They had problems getting shots with the double and triple team with Luka Doncic. They won't have that. Even if you double and triple team Kyrie, he has a way to get through there. But if he doesn't sign, I mean, he is a free as a bird this summer. If he doesn't sign with them, then that would have been, like you said, murder she wrote for the Mavericks. If they need to get him locked in, this is a task that they're going to really have to consider. But they want to go for the championship, and they want to go for it now. You got to think, they weren't considering, Phoenix to bounce back
Right.
with this trade. I mean, they tried to get KD in the summertime through that way, but that didn't happen. But they were gearing up to try to make a run for it at Denver. And at this point, that's probably was their biggest obstacle. Memphis is pretty good, but I don't think their chemistry is really set to a point to make them a championship contender.
Well stated. Well stated. Let's move over to the Lakers. Obviously, shout out to LeBron James in overtaking the captain as far as the career points scored. Big day in LA for that. A lot of people showed up. Tickets, they were saying almost 60 grand to try to get in the building. That was a team where it all started for you. Being an LA guy down there at Cal State Fullerton. Shout out to Latrell Ricell Jr. getting busy down there for Cal State right now.
Yes.
But let's take a look at the Lakers. We didn't think anything could happen for the Lakers, and look, Pelinka pulled off a magic trick in not only moving Westbrook, but also being able to get D'Angelo Russell and multiple guys that can stroke that ball. and shoot. That's what they need, is some shooting. Tell us about the trade, how that helps LeBron. Does it help him to stay another few years? And how does it look for the Lakers and what they were able to do?
Well, I know
Outside of AD and his face, the way he was looking at
statistically wise, I know the outside ball players looking like, how do you get rid of Mr. Triple Double? Well, when you got LeBron James on your team and you have AD, that's a post up guy and a ball dominant guy. You need players that need to stand in the corner, need to sit and wait for the basketball to come. And Russell Westbrook was just not that. Even though he played great coming off this new role off of the bench when he didn't have players that were ball dominant on the floor, it just did not make a good fit for him. And that's when they come up with that term, it's not enough basketballs to have it. And that's what was going on. A little bit too many antics for me as far as Russell. I mean, but talented wise, he needs his own team. And now I don't know if he stays in Utah. They might be a buyout there with moving him to the Clippers. But not only Russell being a great shooter and coming back to the Lakers, but he doesn't need the basketball to do what he does, and that's the most important thing. And another dark horse trade that they got Mo Bamba. They got Mo Bamba
I did see that move
from Orlando, and that is huge to be alongside Anthony Davis, a guy who can move, who can hit that open 15 to 20 footer, stretch the defense a little, and also he knows his role. He knows he's not a star in this league as of yet. He has a possibility to be, but he's not a star in this league, so he's going to crash and defend to make his way onto the floor for Coach Darvin Ham.
Absolutely. Does this trade in being Russell, and then we'll move on to to Phoenix. Does this trade in any way, 5 teams in 5 years? How do you view Russell Westbrook's legacy? Do you see him as a top 75 guy, top 100 guy? Where do you view him in his legacy when it's all said and done?
Well, he's done things that I think 2 other humans have ever done, and it may be Wilt Chamberlain, and it may be Oscar Robertson. I mean, it maybe either of those 2. I'm not sure if Wilt has done it or not, but I mean, you got to put him up there. Whether he cracks the top 100 that comes back out, or the 75, or it just determines on who's voting, because Dominique Wilkins doesn't make the top 50. Like, how does he not make the top 50? These are questions that you just are unsure of why. And but bouncing from team to team, I think he's an emotional person. I think, like I said, the antics are just a little bit too much for being your caliber of a star, because he's up there, and he has to, it's ways that you can conduct yourself, but he's going to be talented. He needs his own squad. So even moving over to the Clippers, they got rid of all their point guards. Maybe
Eric Gordon got moved.
Maybe a possibility of getting Russell, and that may be something that they could do. And there's another team that he could be ball dominant in. Kawhi doesn't need it, but only 5 seconds. Paul George only needed for 5 seconds. They don't need to have the ball all the time to be effective.
I absolutely love, and that's why I could see it too. I said the same thing prior to you coming. I said we went through the list, and just kind of went down and looked at different teams and tried to figure out where if they do get a buyout, where could he fit? And it ultimately came down to what you said. I think Tehran is the type of coach that could handle that type of the type of persona that he brings to a locker room and so forth and so on. But I really just couldn't see him being anywhere else except probably there. Let's move over to Phoenix, though, real quick, before we take a break. And if we can just hold you a little bit after that segment, just to kind of touch some other NBA stuff, if you're available. So now we move over to the Phoenix Suns. You happen to go and be present with the new owner. Is it Ishbia? How do you pronounce it?
Ishbia.
Ishbia. And got a chance to see him coming in. It seems as if he was ready to get going, running with, soon as he touched ground in the building, ready to make something happen, was able to pull off a coup and land Kevin Durant and bring him to the Phoenix Suns. When everybody and their mama thought Phoenix was starting to flounder. You don't know what Chris Paul, how his body's going to be able to hold up. You've got DeAndre Ayton. You've had some great young pieces. They were able to move them out, get some resources, get some picks and some bodies, but ultimately get KD. How do you feel about KD coming How do you feel about how this team can come together? Is there going to be some conflict in styles by the way that KD plays and the way that Booker plays? Or what about depth? They don't have as much depth now, so does injuries play a part? Tell us, your thoughts about that.
Well, James Jones tried to make this trade happen in the summertime. So before Matt even was considered to be one of the owners, even before they even, Sarver even put the team up for sale, they were trying to get this done. With it getting done and the pieces that they let go, obviously Cam Johnson, a young talent, Mikal Bridges, a young talent, it's going to be hurting because that was their defensive prowess. They set their tone with those two being active. Crowder, hadn't been with the team all season, and he was their best defender. And that's why, they would lose some games when they're playing against superstars because they couldn't have nobody to stop him. He's moved on to Brooklyn, and Brooklyn all the way to Milwaukee, which is a great gift for Crowder. KD solidifies all that garbage and that mayhem that's going on. And when I say garbage and mayhem, you maximize a contract with Booker. Is he the star? Then you go get a super max with Booker. Then you get a max contract with Aiden. Is he the star? You have Chris Paul, the longtime All-Star. Is he the star of this team? You got two players and Bridges and Johnson. Are they the star of the team? It was so much confusion of what's going on. KD solidifies that. Nobody on this team is better than KD. He is their number one option, and in order for them to win, they're going to have to go through KD. Now, as far as the style of play, Booker and KD are both 2s and 3s. Obviously, Booker can play some point as well as KD can play some point, but they don't need the basketball to ISO to score. They both can come off screens. They both can set picks and roll. They're both movable. They can both stand in the corner and knock down shots. It just makes the life a lot easier. You talked about the health of Chris Paul. This helps him out a lot. 1-2 dribble kick to KD on one side, Booker on another side is unbelievable. And where do you double? Do you double up Chris Paul? Because Chris Paul is a set shooter, 3-point shooter. He can knock that down. And he also can draw the defense in for a lob for Ayton. I thought another incoincidence from that they acquired from the Indiana Pacers. They brought T.J. Warren back to Phoenix. He is a score anyway guy. So you add that, and Corey has been playing well for him defensive wise. Campaign, if you get him back healthy, if you need to slow somebody down because of Chris Paul's legs are too, you get a good point guard and Curry, you got to chase around. It's going to be difficult for Paul. But I think the nucleus wise, it doesn't look name wise deep on that bench, but it all depends on foul trouble and health.